Hearing about the Cubs.
But see, you guys could hardly eat your lunch with your mouth stuffed with nothing but Cub cheddar.
Cub chatter.
Okay, we'll start our meeting with Attorney Sigler's report.
Okay, from the last meeting, I did send a letter to Cedar Bridge, their lawyer, and said that I gave him 7 days to bring payment in, or I just told him I'd file the judgment. That sounds like a horrendous threat, but of course, all that gets us is a judgment. We still would have to collect it. So I have not, I obviously haven't had a response from him yet, so, but at least they're on notice. The Wheeler matter, you know, that is, I'm now talking to Mr. Wheeler. I've gotten permission from the lawyer. I've had a conversation, so I would hope by the next meeting we would have something in writing with him. So, those, and of course, I'm prepared to talk on this Narcon issue today, to the extent you guys have any questions, but I'll wait till they make their presentation for that, so.
That's it.
I have numbers on, what's that fellow's name again? Winger. So I'll have that, hopefully by the next meeting I'll have that, because I don't have the up-to-date numbers.
Good.
Okay.
Do you have anything for Dan? Well, you're getting off easy this time.
Living right. It's that big blue W, you know, in the sky.
Okay, next on the agenda, Amy Motter, Paula Warden, Bill Bryce, Julie Jensen Kelly, on the use of Narcan. Do we have someone that's going to be a speaker? Or?
Come on up.
I'm gonna speak.
Yeah, sorry.
Because it's all recorded. Awfully loud. So I submitted some packets to all the commissioners, to the auditor, and to Dan, so that we could talk about this issue today. What you have in your packets is a policy for Whately County Community Corrections and one for Whately County Probation, and then one also for the Sheriff's Department. Attached, I also did the immunity, the civil immunity for each of those. The Sheriff's Department has a different civil immunity than Community Corrections and Probation. And then I also just had attached an article that was just in the Journal Gazette on the 25th in regards to drug overdoses as well. Originally, we had this conversation with the Community Corrections Advisory Board as well in regard to the use of Narcan, and they had asked us, obviously, to put together a policy in the use of that. At the same time, Bill Bryce was coordinating trainings, and so a lot of our staff for both probation and community corrections attended those trainings. And so now we're here today to talk about that in regards to being able to use that medication if needed for all three of our departments. And we have representation from each department here.
Commissioner, did you have anything? Okay.
I have a couple questions. This might be more directed to Bill than anything. I understand that a volunteer fireman could administer. Are they all going under the licensing or whatever they have to have? Because they're out in the county. Are they going to have?
And I have a question for him too, so can we have him come
Yeah.
up here also? 'Cause-
Yeah.
See, Bill?
Yeah, would you come up here, Bill? Thank you.
Can I add something too, without coming up there?
Come on up. Bill?
Paula, you might as well come up. and-
Well, I
Sean.
mean, we, you know, this is videoed and people can see it, and trust me, if you look at the camera, you can't see Brandon on back,
Push the button.
nor can you hear anything, so it's just more important that we, in the name of transparency, we have everybody be able to be heard and seen.
So, who is educating these, say, volunteer firemen, or first, like out in Detroit, we just have first responders. Do they have the same coverage and non-liability that everyone else has.
Yes, but different. It's I think they're different statutes that cover different people. The one statute, which is 1631-6 2.5, talks about the civil immunity for these people listed, and those are advanced emergency medical technicians, emergency medical responder, emergency medical technician, firefighter or volunteer firefighter, law enforcement officer, or paramedic. So those 6 categories are covered under that statute for the civil immunity. So in answer to your question, the firefighters are covered by the same one that the police officers or law enforcement are.
The
Now,
answer, okay, I understand it's covered under IC code then.
yes,
And they're taking for granted when they put that in writing that they do have the proper training.
yes, training
Okay.
is in this, yes.
Okay. And I understand this to only be nasal, not injections.
That's correct.
Okay. That's all right now, Mr. Chairman,
I kind of missed that last, what method are we going to use to administer?
Nasal. It's a
Nasal.
nasal atomizer.
Okay, okay. Bill, I'm going to direct this at you, because you and I worked together a long time, okay?
We did.
Yep. We did the same job, we were both paramedics. Somebody's got to explain to me why we can't wait on EMS.
Well, I'm not saying that we can't wait on EMS, but as you know, when, the way this is, in our training and the way this is spelled out, this person is not breathing,
Yep.
okay? Or at a very low level of consciousness that they
Got it.
cannot control their own
And
airway.
we've both had these patients,
Oh, yeah.
so we both know, what these patients are like, so.
So waiting on EMS, depending, we don't know sometimes where EMS is coming from, what the response time is. You could put this in maybe the same category as the AED. Sure, we can wait for the ambulance to get there, but if we're there, we've got the equipment, we use it. Same thing with Narcan. In a respiratory distress situation, the sooner you are able to correct that, the more likelihood of saving the person.
Can it be corrected by ventilations?
It
Not
can be-
corrected, I'm sorry, no.
Well, it can't be
Not
corrected.
corrected, you can't correct it with ventilations. Can life be sustained with ventilations?
It could be sustained with ventilations, yes.
So this responder
Keep
could.
in mind,
Yep.
if I could, we're not equipped to give ventilations. Okay? We may or may not have, nowadays, we're doing CCR instead of CPR.
Yep,
Okay?
yep, gotcha.
So we're doing compression-only CPR.
Yep, I got
We're
you.
not giving ventilations.
I
So
got you.
we don't have people, our people in the field are not carrying the bag belt
Big valve
masks.
mask.
give ventilation.
Yeah, I got you there, but they could carry them.
They could carry them, yes.
And they could sustain life until the EMS got there and administered the Narcan.
They could, yes.
Now, for background, I had a terrible run with Narcan, and it was totally my fault. So that's why I have a daughter involved here, just in the sake of transparency, why I am not very sure about administering Narcan. and
Keep
not-
in mind too, Don, if you would, the way you gave the Narcan was injectable.
It was
And
IV.
I've had that same
know.
run, where you give it too fast or give too much, and they come,
Well, you're excited. You're
but
excited,
you're
you
not-
got this person is circling the drain, and
by atomized mist, though, you're not gonna get the same effect, and
Okay.
you know that as being a paramedic, as you would with the injectable. The injectable, you're giving it right into the vein through an IV.
Right.
This, you're giving to an atomized mist, and the effectiveness is not as fast and it's not as great, but
can we be assured, though, that they will not awaken? And because you may not have many people there. Had it not been for firefighters, I probably would have been killed. because I administered the Narcan too much, too fast. I was in a hurry, this guy's dying, I gotta save him, you know. If the same person came around, is it gonna kill one of these people because they don't have anybody to jump on it? It took 5 firefighters to jump on this guy and keep him down, because he was gonna kill me. So, are
I
they gonna have the same
not read anything
safety?
that, and this has been given in the field now for quite some time by
has, yeah,
responders.
it has.
By the nasal mist, and I have not read any documented cases that they've had those issues. I'm not gonna say there haven't been, I just have not read those.
Okay.
And I think it's becoming a community standard, and I think it's becoming a
I do too.
nationwide standard because of the reasons of the opiate overdoses. In our community here recently, we've had 3 main physicians that are no longer prescribing opiates, which just opens us up for a huge void of patients needing opiates. And when they can't get them, they're gonna turn to heroin, and we're seeing it in the ERs, and we're gonna start seeing it in the field. And we need to be ahead of this.
Another concern I have, because we couldn't control temperatures in an ambulance really very well. How in the world are you guys gonna keep these kids from 59 to 77 degrees if you put them in a car, or it's winter time? I mean, I don't, how's that gonna happen? I'm concerned about the quality of the product if it's been hurt by the temperature.
Well, of course, the manufacturer's gonna tell you one thing, it has to be between these two
Yeah,
things.
well, they have to.
But you and I both know that
Yeah,
medications, even on the ambulances, are not kept at those.
Yeah, it's
So it's
physically
gonna reduce
impossible.
effectiveness undoubtedly. But what our hope is that people will carry it on them and temperature control it just like they do other equipment that needs to be temperature controlled. Our PVTs need to be temperature controlled. Our AEDs need to be temperature controlled. So we are already doing that with those devices, and I would expect that they would do that with the medication also as part of the training.
And then I'm actually gonna start this and then turn it over to Dan. You are correct in that the immunity, there's 2 separate ones. And the one you're dealing with,
I'm not sure about, what's the one you say is for the probation department or somebody else?
That's
What-
under Aaron's Law. That's
Under what?
under Aaron's Law, which is another attachment that
I don't know that I see
that was, it's from the Indiana State Department of Health. It's a stapled document. There's probably 4 or 5 pages there, Dan, under the Send and Enroll Act of 406.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I had that, but I don't see.
We're not
where-
specifically named in that as far as, there's not community corrections or probation. It's just more of a public
Well,
situation.
I actually think you're covered by the other one, but it could be covered by 1631-6, 2.5. Yeah, I saw that. If you look down at the bottom, it says that all the listed people is immune from civil liability for the individual's act or omission, comma, a person who has only an agency relationship with the advanced emergency medical technician, responder, firefighter, volunteer firefighter, law enforcement officer, or paramedic is also immune from civil liability. So, I mean, if these guys decide to give the okay for this, then you would need a written agency agreement, I would suggest, between the sheriff's department and the probation department, and have language in there that would have sort of a supervisory, but you just identify it as an agency relationship. The other statute is kind of murky. I wouldn't want to rely on that. I mean, I'm talking for purposes of civil immunity, because if you can't have immunity, then I would not recommend to the commissioners to do this, because it opens up, and I guess my other, again, this is just a concern, but, you know, it's like everything else, when you have something that sounds so good and everybody's jumping in to do it, you want to go not so fast. what are the, because it's for you guys as well, you're gonna run into the problems out there. And it's always better if you have problems to have regulations or policies and procedures to fall back on, rely on, training, all those things. I assume everybody agrees that this is a last resort type of usage, right? I mean, and that would be part of the training, that we don't run it, because, we have different personalities in different positions in all of these agencies, and some are more enthusiastic than others at times. And so what we don't want to be doing is, in my view, and I'm speaking to you guys, I'm not lecturing them, so I'm speaking, what we don't want to be doing is turning law enforcement agencies and probation departments into other services, except when absolutely the circumstances require. So, I mean, I'm okay with it from that standpoint, but I would be really reluctant. I think the effort needs to be on everybody's part not to blur the lines between what is your job as a probation officer. Okay, if you're doing your job as a probation officer and you run across an emergency like this, great. That's what it's there for, but we don't want people driving all over the county looking for OD so they can brag about how they saved somebody's life. And the type. Most people aren't that type, but there's a few out there in every agency. So I would say there needs to be, to you guys, if you want to do it, fine. There needs to be some kind of interagency agreement for me to feel comfortable that civil immunity applies. And I think I don't know if you guys read that section I've read, does that mean something else other than have you been told that means something else other than how I'm interpreting that?
I have not, but not being an attorney, that's why we all agreed that it needed to go before your office.
Yeah, I think you're covered by that if you have a written agreement. And so, I guess we can do that if that's what these guys decide they want to do.
So then our policy would be their policy.
Right, you would just, yes, right, exactly. You would just adopt their policy and make use, I would suggest, in the language of their training. And therefore, I think you're covered as a cooperating agency. I can't come up with any other meaning of what that would mean. Have you guys read that, what I just read? You guys agree with me? It doesn't just, I think it needs a common reading, not just a lawyer's reading, but that's what I read it to mean. So that's where I come
Let's
down.
look at the other side for a moment, because I don't think we know what we're going to do. But in the day of lawsuits, and if other counties have adopted something where they can use this for drug overdose, say, and we don't have it, would we open ourselves to a lawsuit? As it says, we have to provide EMS service and everything that goes with that,
Right.
Could we be open to a lawsuit for not providing something that would save a person's life?
Well, yeah, that's a good question. I'm always cautionary when I say we'd be open to a lawsuit, because anybody can sue anybody for
Well,
anything, but.
We got our friend.
Right, so I say no. I say no because this statute doesn't say you shall, it just says you may. So we can do these things with Narcan, whether it's the sheriff's department or whoever else is covered. You're not required to do it. So you're not subject to liability for if you choose not to do it. You just want to be careful if you do it, that we touch all the bases for the people that are administering, because the people that get sued, it's not just Whitley County, it's going to be the probation officer or the employee of whatever agency is administering it. So they're gonna feel it personally too, because that's the first thing lawyers do.
Yeah.
Is they name everybody they can think of as a pocket. So if it's done, let's just do it right, that's what I'm saying.
I guess I've got a question. You said that the need, it looks like the need is going to be great coming up here. Is the need great at this point, or are you trying to be prepared for what's coming?
Well, both, I think. Don't quote me on this, please, but I believe the city has administered it 4 times.
That's what I heard.
I think the number was 4. So it's here. And is it coming? Yes, it's still coming. There's little reason to believe that any action has a reaction. And when we have 3 main physicians that were the main suppliers of opiates to this area out of the picture, it's bound to happen. I just don't know why it wouldn't happen.
Who's done the training up here? Okay. What in the training, what is the downside? What are the risks that you're trained to observe? What are the problems that can occur from the dispensing this to the person deemed in need? Are you trained that you got to watch for this? Sometimes it doesn't work, sometimes some counter reaction occurs. I mean, is there any negative in your training that's been dispensed that it could be problematic in the usage?
I had a different trainer than Bill, and in my training, they didn't talk about any downside with the nasal spray.
So my next question is, does that mean there's not a downside, or you weren't
There's-
trained for
There
it?
really are no contraindications to using Narcan
Okay.
other than as prescribed and as directed.
And even if you misjudged what was happening and you gave that medication, there aren't going to be any ill effects to that person that, let's say they weren't having an opioid, reaction and you gave it to them, they're not harmed from the medication.
So we don't have to worry about somebody faking it, so this won't give a high in and of itself for
No, and
people
it
who are.
actually
'cause-
stops the high.
It goes in and sits on the opioid receptor sites, so the opioids can't attach to it and go on through. But I just totally disagree that there is not a downside. I saw the downside with my own eyes, so it's pretty hard for me to sit here and say there's no downside.
Okay.
I didn't use the same way they're doing it. I understand, and I probably didn't do it as well as I could have done it, so, but if they get put in the same emergency situation and they, I'm sorry, I disagree. I think there is a downside to it.
Well, it's like any policy you have, guys. If you have a bad experience with it, you can pull it. The problem is, what is a bad experience? Because it only takes one time. So you just, it sounds good, and I think we can get covered with civil immunity, but having civil immunity doesn't necessarily guarantee that you won't get sued. But that's with all of life, okay? That's with anything involving government services, so.
Sean, as far as the jail is concerned and your booking coming in, would you say it's not determined at that time when they come in there what they're on? How would you feel about it?
On more cases than I would like to ever have, it's undetermined what they're on when they come in. We've had cases where they've walked in the door perfectly fine, and then 30 minutes
Yeah.
later, they're shooting downhill from whatever they took. To say, yeah, I mean, it happens all the time in a jail environment. I mean, people that are brought in the jail are brought in a lot of times in their worst shape that they could be. A lot of them, when you get sent out and checked out before, some of them come in appearing fine on all standards and then deteriorate from that point after they've been brought in. So,
Just this morning, I had a heroin addict go to court at 9 o'clock. Judge Hewer took him into custody. So who's to say he didn't shoot up before he came to court, and now he's sitting in their jail?
So you say that argues for you being able to treat right there, correct?
yeah, I hope that we don't have to.
Right.
I really do. But the fact of the world today, I understand what Don's saying about letting the medics handle it, but I also understand my side of it, where I want to do everything I can to try to increase the situation of chances of survival. From my side of the argument, I would like to have it. I hope we don't ever have to use it, honestly, but I would like to have it there in that extreme emergency situation.
So what are the training what are you gonna tell your employees, this is when you use it? What are the magic words? What is the magic, what makes the magic decision that causes me, when you're training me, to say, okay, now I recognize this and now I do it. So what is that? Is it breathing? Is it pupils? Is it combination? Is it unconsciousness? Because I don't know anything, so I'm dumb. So tell me, what do your people, what do they need to look for, and what are they told to look for? How hard is that to do that? And to
It's all
train?
three of those. It's all three of those. In addition to that, look at our surroundings for those in the field. Look at the surroundings and see if there's another explainable reason why they're unconscious. There may not be, but again, there's no harm in giving it, other than Don has mentioned. If you bring somebody out of an opiate overdose too fast and completely wipe out all the opiates in their system, then yes, you can get an adverse reaction. But again, I don't think there's documented cases with that, with the nasal, with giving it by injection. Absolutely, I've seen it. In fact, I've had to give another medication to resedate them because of that very reason. But I don't know of documented cases for that. By the nasal mist, and it's been given probably hundreds, if not thousands of times in other cities. So the training we go through, was that 2 or 3 hour training?
We haven't been to it yet.
I'm pretty sure, it was at least a 2 hour, I can't remember if it was a 2 or 3 hour training that we've been to, and it shows everything that we need to do. So for me to try to tell you what all I learned in that whole block of training, I wouldn't be able
Well,
to.
I just more or less in general, so these guys can hear what we're covering here. What are we doing? What need are we covering? What situation are we walking into? Because every time we have a lawsuit in this county, it's $25,000 out of our pocket before we do anything, every time. And then it's more than that, and then it's because even though we have insurance, these kind of lawsuits of law enforcement agencies are so frequent that it's hard to get coverage. So that's why we ask the questions. It's not to put down a program that's good and intended for good things, but it's because if we just have a lawsuit that we settle today for the sheriff's department that we didn't send to our insurance company, it still almost cost us 25 grand with the settlement and the other things that went along with us. So that's why, I mean, we're not guaranteed next year or the year after we can get insurance. So when we take this on, you take it on very carefully because the repercussions are great. And that's why budget time is so hard for agencies, because you always have to cover liabilities in the budget. So that's why. It's not because we just want to be against things.
Yeah, I have a question. If you put a policy in place and there's an employee that's not comfortable in administering this, can that person be reprimanded for that?
Well, I mean, it depends on the department head, and it depends on the personnel policies of the county, so it'll take, I guess I can't always answer that in every occasion, but I would not want people who are not comfortable with doing it. I would probably try to exempt those folks.
Make the training optional.
Okay.
I have a question. You're saying there's been 4 cases that the local PD has administered it, okay? Do they have any peer review? Do they discuss it? Does it go on the EMS report? Has it been, I see this report that has to be filled out, but the report's no good if it's thrown away in a file cabinet somewhere, especially if there's an adverse reaction. So to tell me it's been done 4 times doesn't tell me anything.
Sure.
4 times what? Did it work? Did the EMS take them then? I guess I would want to know more than just know more about the runs than it's been used 4 times, and I'm concerned that there needs to be some type of review process after it's used 1 time. And so everybody knows, hey, this went great, this was super, so.
And I don't have the answers to that.
No, I don't either, because I don't know where the medical and the legal ends here, you know? We may not have any ability to get a hold of that medical record. I don't know, so.
How do you determine who's going to get the Narcan and who's not going to? Or how are you going to distribute the Narcan kits?
Oh. We were, and Bill helped a lot with this, was making sure that the deputies had, access to them along with the confinement officers. Our front office, along with the residential downstairs and our surveillance officers. Amy was going to have some in her office as well as taking them on home visits. And
Here's the cost of the kits. And how much are they?
We received a grant for it, and we've received 40 kits. The grant may very well go beyond that and start replacing them as needed. But we don't know that for sure right now. If we have to replace them, I've checked with Parkview Pharmacy in Fort Wayne. They can't do it locally, but they can do it in Fort Wayne. And they're about $35
Okay.
for the Narcan and the replacement
What about
atomizer.
the expiration dates, Bill? Are they
We're
outways?
about 2 years out.
That's good, okay.
And that was another reason for that written report, Don, was anytime if we did use it, we would need to give that written report to Bill because he has to account for the kits if they are used and how many need to be replaced and things like
That's
that.
account to the grant people.
So that, and also that we
There's
can get
still
a
no medical
yeah,
review,
so
that's
we can get
just
a
a
replacement
account,
as well.
okay. Okay.
Now, the name of this company that we've got it from is lifeline.org, and they're out of Indianapolis, and they provide a lot of the kits to almost everybody in Indiana.
Bad, yeah.
And it's a Department of Justice, I believe. No, I'm sorry. It's the grant from the
That's from Arrington, it's all behind
Attorney General's office.
the Attorney General.
AJ?
Yeah, DOJ. So that's where the money's coming from. So it's getting support from Clear Up at the top.
Has this been run by Parkview Hospital and their employees in the EMS? And if so, what's their feeling?
No. It has not, that I'm aware of.
But they would already be trained to administer it and to use it, correct? As
Their
a-
EMS, yeah, they'd be
Yes.
given it in the injectable form.
But they don't use a nasal, though. They would use injectable, you think?
More than likely, although they could. I know this just from being a paramedic.
Right,
Sometimes
that's
if
what-
you're just absolutely not able to get an IV, we would use other methods to give medication.
Scott?
Just for your information, the Indiana State Department of Health is donating or giving out 50 doses to every county in the state of Indiana. They're going to be held at the hospital. I'm not sure, there are some rules about being able to dispense that to local jurisdictions. That looks like it will be a first dose to the counties, and then there might be supplemental after that. They have restrictions on where they're supposed to keep it. They're supposed to keep it with their chem packs. In the hospital, in a sterile environment, that's locked down.
So was that the
Those
nasal?
shots or
So,
nasal?
not specified. More likely, they will not get, obviously, they will not be giving out.
Okay. This is something you really would feel it would benefit Whitley County in the drug arena, we might as well put it out there, to combat or save lives.
My concern is the overdoses are very possible. I think we're going to start seeing more of them. And if we can save a life by giving a medication that's pretty much being used around the country, I think we're one of the last ones and one of the late ones into this arena. This has been going on for quite a while. The city's been doing it longer than we have, and they were even late on it. But we didn't, I never felt had a need for it, because frankly, we had 3 physicians giving plenty of opiates, and heroin was not an issue. Heroin is an issue. That's going to become worse, and in the year 2017, which is upon us, the DEA is requiring manufacturers of opiates to reduce their production of opiates by 33%. So they're not going to be available. I've got a friend who's a pharmacist, and the pharmacies are starting to go on
Rationing?
rationing, yes, on what they can get. So if opiates are not available, I'm here to tell you, the heroin is going to take its place. People are not going to just go without their opiates. And so, yes, I think we need it, and I think that it will save some lives in the future.
I've got a question. Is it a matter of quality of life also, what would happen with these people? Because if they're having difficulty breathing, and if you didn't have that to help them out, and you wait for the EMS, is that something that could cause brain problems, other health issues?
I can't answer that. I would, anytime you're without oxygen, but as Don mentioned, it can be controlled by given ventilations. But if you're without oxygen, absolutely, you're going to have some brain cell death.
Well, hearing both sides, and I know our concerns, and certainly Don's being firsthand, why, do you want to action on this today, or do you want to hold it, or what?
I guess I would defer to you right now. What's your thought on that?
Well, I would still say that if you approve it, which is fine, then we need to do an agreement for the liability protection. So it's, before they use it, then I would have to get something out, which is not a hard, difficult thing to do. It's going to be pretty simple.
Can I mention one more thing? I've had conversation with Dr. Hatcher as the county health officer, okay? And she was in favor of it, and using the Aaron's Law, there was a comment in there about receiving a prescription. And she did give the sheriff's department a description for Narcan to be used as directed. And she said she would continue to supply those annually if necessary. So she was on board with it and provided us a prescription for it.
I spoke with her as well, and she's more than willing to write the same for the community corrections and probation if that becomes necessary.
So that has to be separate prescriptions?
Yes.
No.
Of course, that doesn't really help anything.
I guess I would disagree on that.
She's a county health officer, so it brings liability right back in the county through the full circle. So that's great for them, for access, but it doesn't change our position.
But I would think if she's written one to the sheriff's department and we're gonna have these agreements,
They should go through the sheriff's
should go through
department.
the sheriff's
then you only need that one script,
I agree.
so.
So there's really only one policy, that's why it's really just under the
Yeah,
sheriff's.
it's just one thing
We operate
anyway.
under, okay.
Yeah, so the more simple we can make it and the more direct and funnel it through the sheriff's department, because then that puts the onus where it ought to be. They're getting the grant, the statute was really created more for law enforcement anyway. Just tie in with this written agreement, if you guys so choose, of course, would tie in the probation department.
I guess at this time, I'm ready for a call for the vote, but except for, it was mentioned about the insurance company, should we run this past our insurance to see what their thoughts are on this?
It doesn't hurt. Yeah.
I guess that's my only concern, that if they see a red flag.
Well, it's more from the standpoint, does it affect our coverage?
Right,
I mean,
right.
I mean, And so as long as it doesn't affect our coverage, subject to that, I guess a motion could be made, subject to approval of the insurance company and a written agreement, then there's an ability to pass it today, I guess, if you choose, or we can wait until we run it by. But, yeah, we don't want to lose our coverage. We shouldn't, but, who knows?
You
what
just
the
never know
insurance
anymore,
companies,
that's, I think we need to cover
Can I
it.
ask a question? You said the shelf life's roughly 2 years. If these get used up or they expire, time-wise, is the county gonna be liable then to replace them?
Is a grant, is a continuing grant? I guess.
I don't know what'll happen in 2 years. Right now, the grant's available, so I don't have an answer for that. And I don't know what happened to the cost of things when things, I know in the past, Narcan's been hard to get, and I'm sure cost probably is reflected by that, so I can't answer that.
You know, as a county council responsible for the money, that's something we need to, we gotta be liable down the road.
Yeah, we could be liable for lack of action, too.
Dan, if you could clarify just for us, is that we would have an MOU with the Sheriff's Department, or we would have one policy for all 3 departments?
I don't think it matters, but that it's only the probation department I'm worried about in this discussion because, I guess it would be for community corrections too. I thought that was in here, but it's not, so it's both of them. So what I'm saying is in other words, you would agree with the sheriff's department in order for your employees to administer Narcan, they would give the training, you would abide by their policies, which are as follows, attached to Exhibit A, and so there would be one policy, in my view, not 3. So we would all be following the Sheriff's Department policy. The reason for that being that you're immune if you have an agency relationship. And so the 3 agencies are community corrections, probation, and then through the Sheriff's Department. Now you've established that's all I'm trying to do, is establish an identifiable relationship so that qualifies for the immunity under this statute. That other statute, I don't know, I'm not real comfortable that gives you immunity. It may well, but I would rather see it this is, I think, pretty solid if we do it this way. Does that cause a problem to have the policy through the Sheriff's Department?
I think you pretty much used ours
We just use theirs as a template, and the only
Yeah,
difference
I mean,
is-
that's right.
The only difference.
As long as yours matches theirs.
Yeah, was the locations and the immunity.
If we would approve this, could we make it subject to yearly review?
Yes, I think that would be a wise thing.
Case-by-case review. Somewhere along the line, these cases have to be reviewed, and
Right.
there is no medical direction to this program, none. There's not a physician in charge of this program.
Well, I'm okay with a case-by-case review at that point also.
Okay, well,
I think if Dr. Hatcher's gonna write the scripts.
okay, why don't you do it this way then? Why don't you approve it, subject to the conditions, for 1 year, to be reviewed at the end of the year, and, but then include in it a case-by-case review for every time it's used? I mean, that's easy enough to do, and just say, but then it expires unless you reapprove it in November of, and that 2017. And then in 2017, you've had a whole year look at it, maybe you've only used it twice, you kind of know these guys know what their experience is, and then you know what our experience is, that'll tell us where our exposure is, and then you'll I think, maybe a more comfortable mind in saying yes to go down the road permanently with it. So that's another way to do it.
And George, in the policy that, the rough draft, we did put in under the reporting, in section 5, was to provide a report to the Board of Commissioners each time it was used.
Okay, so it's in the policy?
Based upon what we've heard here, Mr. Chairman, I would make a motion, we approve it for today, based upon, the only thing I want to be sure we had, approval or support from our insurance company. And I think that can be done by a phone call with the chairman.
Yes.
And then get it to Dan, and we'll know, and you'll work on the,
Yeah, we can do
There.
this, we can do this fast.
Okay.
I guess
Yeah, we-
everything we do,
You'll need a
that
second.
would
We
be
could-
my motion at this time.
Forward it to you for your review, the policy.
We've got a motion to approve, subject to, do you want yearly review also
Oh, yeah.
on that?
Yeah.
Yearly review and approval by our insurance company, or subject to examination by our insurance policy. Do I have a second? I'll second. Any further discussions?
Dr. Hart was in support. Did she have any concerns?
Yeah.
Dr. Hatcher?
I'm Dr. Hatcher, I remember Lisa when she was a teacher at the high school, I'm sorry. Sorry, Doc.
I don't want to speak for her, but she did not
Okay.
indicate to me anything that she
I
had a
guess
concern
she
about.
wouldn't have if she wrote that prescription. Okay, that's the only question.
Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Aye.
Okay, 2-1. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Joan.
Now, effective date, I mean, till we get
Well, I think as soon
approval.
as we get approval from the insurance
Yeah.
company.
The training has to be done.
And the training.
Yeah. All of my staff has been trained. I'm just the only one that hasn't been.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Oh, yeah. Paula, did you want to discuss?
I didn't know if you want me to go sit down or.
Yeah, why don't, while you're here, why don't we
Okay.
discuss the
The flooring?
needs? Flooring, yes.
Okay. Are you ready for me?
Yes.
So you've all received a letter about the flooring issue out at our facility. We know we need to do something on the upstairs level. Obviously downstairs, we were able to remove the carpet and the concrete cleaned up pretty nice and it will work, but the carpet upstairs, it's just, there's so much traffic. You know, you have 70 individuals up there with boots and we're just not in a position to pay for that. So if there's any funds that are available through the county, we would appreciate it. And Mark Sturtevant did all the work as far as the recommendation for us, as far as what he thought we should replace it. It may have to be done in phases. The jail inspectors did go through last week, and that was really the only thing that they could, you know, obviously see that we needed to take some corrective action on. But they knew we were working on it, so.
Wasn't there one other issue?
Oh, the eye wash that was outdated?
Yeah.
It expired like
Okay.
October.
Okay, I
Yeah.
thought there was like another issue.
No,
Okay.
you're right, yes.
Okay.
I think it's to the point where George and I said it on the interview, and as though that's the only thing that was written up about the program. It was designated as one of the top ones in the state. We got a letter today stating that they approved things. But just on the backside, a little bit that they have done on their own through users' fees. Heating and cooling units, the parking lot lighting, September and October pest control, metal bunks, mattresses, new refrigerator for food service, I didn't add it up to 1, 2, 13, 14, 15, 16, 20. That amounts to about somewhere $23,000. And the cost of this carpet is what,
Well, it just depends. I mean, it's broken down in phases. The whole project would be 30,000, but that would be the hallways, all the rooms upstairs. But the main thing is that hallway right now. It's
That's
terrible.
what I would ask that you,
So that is, let's see, the south hallway and landing is all, what, $5,515.
yeah, if we could get that done.
My preference truthfully would be, let's get her done.
Yeah.
And let's don't be coming back here every 2 months. If you need $30,000, let's get it done.
And I talked to Mark Sturdivant, and Mark said that those rooms really need to.
It would
that-
help with the other thing.
Yeah,
If we
yeah.
can get the carpet
The
out.
issues that we've got, we need to get rid of those in the
Yes.
rooms
We don't
themselves.
know if the prices are gonna go up or not.
No, we have no control.
And these
over
are
it.
actually pretty good prices, I think, and,
I was kind of impressed by the
He put a lot of
prices.
time into that, and I appreciate it.
I'd make a motion that we take to the council, obviously, the project in its entirety.
Okay.
Second.
got a motion and we got a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? 3-0.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Thanks, Paula.
I just have one quick thing. On my weekly report, I've been just noting that we have a waiting list for females. One of my board members did call me this morning and asked me to go ahead and just look into the price of opening that last room, which we could extend our female wing by one more room. But then if we wouldn't need it for females, we could obviously lock it and assign males to that bed, but that would allow us for 8 beds. I don't know where, it was minimal before, I think, but obviously there's gonna be some cost into it. We have, I think, 5, oh, Sean's gone. I think we have 5 at the jail waiting females to be placed on work release.
Wow.
So, I'll be reporting back on that, but that was just something I wanted to know we are looking into.
Thank you.
We only see, I'm sorry, I'm very thankful to see the jail, to see report, but is it important to us to know male, female population?
Oh,
I don't know, I just, there's a case where, I'm just now learning that you have females waiting for a room.
I can definitely break it down by female.
Do you mind?
No, not at all.
Okay.
I can include that on there.
Thank you.
No, it's good.
Thank you, Paula.
Thank you very much.
Let's see your sheriff.
No, the sheriff was not, he's not gonna be able to make it.
Oh,
He had
okay.
a personal issue.
Got it, okay.
Okay, Brandon Forrester, 2017 annual bids publication. I think we're fine. Thank you, Dan.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
Hopefully you've had a chance to review our annual bid, the notice and specifications. There's very little change from last year. Obviously, director, supervisor was changed engineer, and Michael Barton was changed to Brandon Forrester. Dates were changed, and the only thing other than the obvious was I changed IDOH to NDOT. So other than that, everything is the same. Proposing to receive bids at your first December meeting and open them, and we'll go through them, review them, come back second meeting in December, and be able to get supplies for next year.
But we do the bid opening, like, we don't do it at our meeting, we do it at a special meeting at
Correct.
10:30, right?
Exactly,
Yeah,
yes.
okay.
10:30.
Okay. Okay.
Brandon, do you plan on doing anything different with the salt this year? I see where Fort Wayne's going with some different kind of salt that has a binder or something. Right?
Well, actually, I have 2 prices for salt. We didn't get in on the annual bid for salt. So I went through, looked at the history of our salt purchases. There is a state bid for treated and untreated, and I've got prices for the Detroit Salt Company and Cargill, who are the low bidders for the Fort Wayne District for treated and untreated. We have some salt left over from last year that we're mixing right now to get ready. One of these days it is gonna start snowing, or maybe, hopefully not, but, so we're ready. And
Well,
yes,
could
I wanted to try the untreated. and see
But
how
could I
that
also
works.
sort of help with that question, because they're doing brine,
Oh,
and we don't have the sprayers or the tanks
Yeah.
or
Well,
anything.
I think I read where there's a new salt that is treated that they
Oh, I'm
put
sorry.
out before, if they know that there's an ice
That's
storm
it,
or
that's
snow.
what it is, it's brine.
Yeah.
They lay out there, and then the ice won't adhere to it.
But I think they had the issue with the brine before because it was causing accidents.
they've tried a number of different products.
Okay.
There was a magnesium product that the city of Fort Wayne tried on Clinton Street, and they had spin outs. This was probably 10 years ago, but I don't want to be the guinea pig for new products myself, but, and,
Wisconsin uses the calcium chloride,
well, and there's
But-
different uses for that.
but they know they're gonna get, they don't do it until they know they're gonna get snow, and they're gonna get snow, and I think it's risky for us. We just don't have the spray equipment, it's a big
Well,
problem.
yeah, we don't have spray equipment, definitely. I'd prefer to be conservative and do it the way we've been doing it. I mean, there's, at times there's problems, but,
Will we continue to cut it with sand though too? I mean,
we're,
we do a salt sand,
we're
don't we?
mixing it 6-to-1 right now.
Yeah.
Yep. And we've talked about getting some of this treated salt to use on like Lincoln Way and Business 30 where we've got heavy traffic. Every event, we've talked about this, we're getting ready. There's a lot of different events. You've got, heavy snows, wet snows, you've got the light, fluffy, blowing, drifting snows, and so, we're gonna do our best. We're gonna try different things if we need to, and I'd just prefer to not. I had a supplier talk to us about injecting our sand with liquid, and we've tried that in the past, I'm told, from current staff, and it just, we don't have the equipment to do that and do it right, so.
Okay, thank you.
While we're talking about snow, has there been any thought given, I can know the one school, Northern Heights, where their approach to the highway, 109, is kind of downhill. And our highway department has kind of made a flip in there to put, if it's slick, snow packed or something for buses and cars to come in and leave that. Is that on your program or anything, or could it be?
It surely can be, and, I have a similar situation myself. I come down Old Trail to County Road 300 East, it's a four-way stop, and it's wooded heavily on the south side, so it frequently gets icy, and sometimes it just needs to be hit harder. That's the first I've heard of that specific location,
I don't know
but.
about Coessie, when they have that side street more or less, but it seems like theirs kind of comes down a little. But I'm saying not spatial trip, but if they're doing Road 5 or 600 there, they could, and they just make
Right.
one pass around.
Well,
And we've always tried to cooperate with the schools. So
Sure, and we do still.
I don't think Indian Springs, I don't know, or the high school out there, I know they have a deputy there kind of, but,
What about Whitco and Busco?
yeah.
Busco, you don't need to worry about, it's in town.
Yeah.
No, but if they have a place going down.
Whitco Middle School, like, I don't know.
The territory guys, they know the
Yeah,
hot
they do.
spots,
Yeah, they
and I guarantee you, I will be stern with them as far as wanting, be cognizant. Yeah, when you've got areas like that, especially near a school, yeah, take
I didn't
extra.
mean to exclude them.
No, I just,
But anyway,
yeah.
okay. If
Thank you,
just
though.
look
Yes.
at-
But actually, in my mind, I'm pondering whether we should even do it to any school, period. Was that gonna open a can of worms if we treat a school?
Well, you're not proposing to treat the school,
No, just the
the
drop.
state road, or the county road leading up to State Road 109.
Wasn't what I understood.
Just where Northern Heights Drive comes down, that's at an angle going to 109.
Oh, I thought you were talking about the county road.
No,
Yeah.
the county road, but they being the highway truck, whoever did that one, if there was a request, they would just pull up there because both sides, even when you go in, there's a little elevation. And we have always passed. Now, I'm not gonna stand away. If you don't wanna do it, fine. Tommy can take the calls. I'd usually get them from bus drivers
Right.
out there.
Sure,
But
and I
if you
understand.
don't
but-
wanna do it, that's fine.
Well, now that I understand, I see Don squinting and I'm kind of with him. The school system pays for snow removal on their parking lots, do they not?
Well, forget it then.
Well,
That's very simple.
That's not what I'm saying, Tom.
I know, but it appears to me that we're not in favor
Well-
of it. That's good. I just asked a question. We've done it in the past. Don
Brandon-
says it shouldn't be done, that's fine.
In light of that also, the years before, we've tried to have a meeting with the transportation.
That's right, I forgot about that.
People from Whitco, from Columbia City and
forgot
Smith
about
Green.
We always had that in the beginning of the school year,
Yeah.
and the state police was in, the sheriff's
Yeah, have we
department.
done anything like
I thought we were
that?
gonna have one, but that's another.
Well, we haven't had a sit-down meeting, but we've reached out to them, so that we've got all the contact information, shared cell phones and everything, and,
It was, I'm gonna tell you, it was a pretty productive meeting.
Yeah, it really was.
It really was. So we just brought them in here and we all just sit down and talked about any particular problems, it's what their expectations of us are, what our expectations of them are.
But having our EMA director in at the same
Yeah,
time so
it
that
was
they
pretty
know
productive.
how.
I gotta highly recommend that we call that meeting.
well, yeah, we'll get it as quick as we can.
It's usually the transportation directors from the
Right.
three corporations. EMA, whoever,
How
anybody.
they got started was cars passing when red flashers were on the school bus, and that's
Right.
where
Right.
we decided, and the state police from Fort Wayne was even over here.
Yeah.
Bill's the state trooper, but whatever you do, that's fine with me.
But it was a good meeting
Yes, it was.
because everybody's on the same notice as far as, the different warning levels that we have and advisory levels so that they know where we stand on that.
Yeah, that's kind of where Amy would come in.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, okay. Do we have
I make a motion that we accept the notice to bidders.
Okay, we've got a motion.
I say,
You got a second? Any further discussions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same? Thank you.
How many you need, Brandon?
I just need one.
Wait, we got an official one.
You have anything further?
Yes. I received from, just last week, from A&Z Engineering. They're the consultant that is working on the County Line 800 East Liberty Mills project. Actually, this was a hard copy that came in the mail, and it's
printed in color. I'll just share that with you or your clerk. File a cemetery report on that project. What I read is they're not going to be disturbing any soil near this cemetery. There's 2 lots or 2 plots unmarked.
I think I've seen, I
It's
think I've seen. that.
essentially a non-issue, but it was directed to your attention, so I
Okay.
did want to share that with you. We continue to burn, brush, patch, take care of whatever issues that come up. We're getting ready for winter, as I mentioned. Last week, Kevin Alexander and I looked at used chip spreader that we hoped would take the place of our 1974 chip spreader that has recently, well, we got it back running because the last project we worked on this year, on the last scheduled day of chip sealing, the rear end went out of it. So, but we had a spare. For a 1974 chip spreader, we had a spare rear end. So it's back working, but we still want to continue to look for a used one. And the one that we looked at, we were kind of disappointed with. We got there and the fan belt was shredded, laying on the ground underneath it. So we couldn't run it long enough to build up pressure to get the hoppers to open or to even move or the displays to come up. And they've said that we're going to fix all these problems. We'll send you videos. And we're just like, you can fix those problems. But Kevin did find a newer one, a 2003. He contacted the sales broker, whatever, hadn't heard back from him. So we're going to continue to look. I told Kevin if they fix all those problems and pay for us to come out and look at it again, we might consider it, but kind of disappointing. But so we've got time. That's the good news. We don't have to. I always say when you're buying a car or a house, you don't buy the first one you look at anyway. So we'll see how that goes.
Do you want that back?
I don't want that back. Alls I want is the notice, so I can get that.
Notice to the bidders.
Yeah, I need to get that copied and
Down.
sent out.
Back some.
I need to sign the back page. We also doing quotes, but those are, we'll just handle those outside of that. So,
Okay, thank you.
anything else?
Thank you, Brandon.
Thank you.
Russell Gilliam, Historical Society Bicentennial Time Capsule.
Hi, I would like to just propose for your consideration an idea to have a memorial or time capsule for the county. We're one of very few counties that I think are even considering this, but something to propose, and there's a wide range. We could do something inside, either at the courthouse or here at the administrative building, or outside, which would be on the courthouse grounds possibly, that would celebrate the bicentennial, and we would also utilize a time capsule from different events that took place this year. Reality looks like probably 17 would be a reasonable time that this would be completed, and what I'm asking for is if you even want to consider doing something like this, and also some kind of budget. Now, an indoor type of display that could be here at the courthouse, you're talking hundreds of dollars, a few $100 to do that. It would be much simpler because you have a protected area. If you want something more substantial outside on the courthouse grounds, you're talking into the thousands. And it would be probably something out of granite, more of a memorial-looking type thing with a container in there, sealed, and it would have different items on it. It would be up to your decision. So I don't really need a decision today. This is something that's an extra budget item, but just to what extent that you would be interested in doing a project like this, if you want to do a project like this, and then one of you could get back with me and give me a budget, and I can get some more concrete proposals for you to look at, and then proceed from there. So, any further questions on that?
Any questions?
Okay.
Do you know if the museum has anything in their budget?
Well, let me tell you this.
17.
They don't. But the state, we've talked to the state, and they basically said this is a grassroots effort in Whitley County. So you know what that means. So,
Yeah, you fund it
okay.
yourself.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Nikki Trier, Troy Center update. Finally get to you, Nikki.
Excited. So I just kind of wanted to give an update. It's been a while since I've been in here to just talk about Troy Center. Nothing specific on the agenda, just a general update. We have more kids than we've ever had, which has been the trend the last few years, but this year definitely is our biggest growth. Right now, we have served 43 students so far this year. A few of those have finished up what they needed to do and have already graduated. We've had a few that are transitioning back to traditional classroom at the end of this trimester. And we are taking we took one this week and 3 more starting tomorrow off of our waiting list, and we still have 7 on a waiting list that we just don't feel like we have room to be able to serve right now, so this is the first time we've ever done that. But we have so much demand for the services that we feel like we need to keep things at probably 35 students on any given day in the space that we have right now. That's about all we can accommodate, staffing-wise and especially space-wise. And so we've began to put kids on a waiting list, and as we can transition kids either back to the classroom or successfully out of the program, move those kids off of the waiting list. So that's kind of our situation right now. Space continues to be an issue. We have a really good partnership with Trinity Presbyterian Church right now, and they're allowing us to be in their space and use the building, and it's worked really well for what we've needed and been able to be a good partnership, I think, for both parties. But space just isn't enough. And so as we continue to grow and try to meet the needs of 35 or possibly 40, possibly 50 students, at some point at Troy Center, we're going to need space that is sufficient for those students. And so that we can still, ultimately, we want to be able to provide the same quality of education, the same quality of service, so we can cram kids in, but then we know the quality of our service goes down, and that's not where we want to be. And so we're trying to balance not wanting to turn kids away that want their education, but also being able to provide the best education that we can for those students. And so continuing to look for the space that we could do that in, and continuing to just try to staff it and be able to provide that high quality of service. I think that's kind of the biggest thing where we're at right now.
Has staffing been an issue?
We've had to add some staff this year just because of the numbers, and but because of the way the space is laid out, it's really worked well for us to have one big area where we can jointly supervise groups of kids, and then we're pulling out kids into small groups. And so this layout has helped us with staffing issues actually quite a bit. The location of being able to be close in town has helped us with transportation. We're still just running 2 vans, so even with 35 kids on a daily basis, we're only transporting about 22 every day. So the location has helped in that way of being able to be centrally located where a lot of kids can get to us on their own. And that's helped our budget significantly to not have to run another van.
Which schools are participating?
We have contract with both Smith Green and Whitco Community Schools this year, and they're both sending students directly to us. And then we have lots of Columbia City kids that come to us through the voucher
So
program.
all 3 schools participate?
We have students from all 3 schools. We don't have a partnership. We don't have any kind of contract with Whitley County Consolidated. Those
Yeah,
kids
right.
come to us through the voucher program.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah. Or through private scholarship. So which is something we would love to remedy in the future. Keep working on that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Tom, did you have anything?
No?
Questions?
Glad to see you flourishing.
Yeah, it is. There's
From where we
a lot
started.
of need and, yeah, and I think we continue to get affirmation that it's a really needed program in our community, and we know that these are kids that otherwise would have been either withdrawing from school, dropping out of school, or otherwise not successful in school, and they're able to go on. We're starting to partner with Ivy Tech and some other work programs so that we can get the kids plugged into something after graduation as well. And so, you know, while the need continues to grow for the services, we're able to be plugging these kids in to be productive members of our county and hopefully giving back to our county. And so for me, it's just, like I said, continues to be affirmation that the dollars that we're investing in these kids are worth
Are
it.
you involved in the group, the JDAI?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. So you got some input and stuff there, right?
Yes, I participated in the interviews that they did and
Yeah.
hopefully can continue to
Yep, good,
participate from
good.
here forward.
Glad
I would
to-
also love to be a part of that transportation meeting at some point of understanding the different levels and just, sometimes for us it's complicated of when to close. We tend to operate on Whitley County Consolidated Schools. If they close, we close. But there have been times because we transport into Whitco and Cherubusco school districts as well, which means for us, we transport into Kosciuszko and Noble County. We also meet on the county line for Allen because we have some kids coming from Allen County. It becomes kind of complicated of when we should have a delay or transport.
Hey, Brandon.
I heard to-
You got it. I knew, I saw you back there. I knew you were. That's a great, see, now that's a great thing.
Yeah.
I would have never have thought about that,
Yeah.
but you need to be involved in that.
I would love to be either
Who
at
is
that
your
meeting or
transportation
a
director?
meeting.
I
I
knew
wear a lot of
the
hats.
Hey, Nikki, do you
Yeah.
use the Whitley County Transit too?
We have in the past. This year we haven't had to, but sometimes we use Whitley Transit services for like our Teen Mom program. So sometimes when we have to if we have to transport an infant, we'll use the transit system. Sometimes, or if we have one that is kind of way outside of the route, we'll coordinate with them to use them as well and pay for that service.
Do they charge you or provide you with a discount?
They charge us I believe the regular rate.
Okay.
But
Is it too early to start talking with Whitley County Consolidated Schools about, say, the Marshall Building?
I don't know. I've heard different, scenarios of what might happen. And I know it's changed continually, but I think that could be a good conversation to
Yeah,
have.
I just think it would make sense to at least get your foot in the door and say,
Mm-hmm.
that might be something we're interested in. That would be a perfect school
Yeah,
for you.
it'd be a great
Okay.
location.
I don't think you want to take over the high school.
Probably not. That might be more space than we could.
The issue is Dr. O'Connor really doesn't like the voucher system, and she's totally against it.
I get it. I get it. I understand.
Which, our partnership with Whitco and Smith Green allows us to not need to use the voucher system.
Right.
If we can have that same
They
partnership.
give you the same price as they're getting, right?
Right.
Or essentially.
Right, so
And
for
that-
us.
They don't have to use the voucher system.
Yeah.
It's not necessary.
No, and we
So-
don't need to use the voucher system with Columbia
Yeah.
City students. It's just a matter of being able for those funds to follow the student. And actually, I know you guys have heard my spiel a lot of times, but it actually benefits Whitley County a lot more to not use the voucher system and to partner with schools because they get more dollars per student than we can get through the voucher system. So more dollars come into the community. Part of it could stay with the referring school and the same exact amount comes to us, whether it's through voucher or through partnership. And so that's a really good way to operate, that we can do that with Cherubusco and Whitco. And honestly, sometimes there's students at Cherubusco or Whitco, even though we have that partnership in place, where they, in conjunction with us, say, for whatever reasons, sometimes there's reasons where they say apply through the voucher system, but we make that decision in conjunction with each other. If they think it would be better for that student and better for everyone involved if they apply directly with us, then we can do that. But all the other different funding pools, they get reimbursement for textbooks, for food and lunches, for alternative ed. They can get different special ed funding than we can get. They're on a different formula than we are. So there's different funding streams that would benefit everybody if we can partner. But there's a stigma against the voucher program, which is a backup for us to be able to make sure that no kids fall through the cracks and we can get them in other ways. We just would prefer to do that in partnership with the schools and say, you know, I can talk with the principal at Whitco or Cherubusco and we can decide together which avenue is best for the family. So we'll continue to work on that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Nikki.
Thank you.
Okay. So each one of you had a chance to take a look at the minutes.
Could we have Scott real quick? Because he wants
sorry,
to talk
Scott.
to us about the Coesity project. I guess we did let Dan go, but we talked to him, so.
Just to reiterate, Mr. Downing of Coesity contacted me earlier this spring, and I spoke with Brandon and Don, since he's in his district, regarding Mr. Downing's complaint about his basement flooding, saying that it had never flooded in all the years that he'd been there, and blamed it on the new sewer installation at Coesity. So our response to him was that he needs to prove that it's our problem before we pay for anything or look into it. So he hired Redmonds to go out there, take a look. They snaked the line from his basement drain and ran into an obstruction from that location, 27 feet out. And then they directed him to Roto-Rooter, who has a camera, to run down that line. They put a camera out, and basically at the street edge is where their obstruction was. According to their documentation, they ran into crushed limestone, which would appear to be the backfill for the sewer line when it was installed. So my assumption, and what they've said here in the report, is that it looked like when the sewer line was installed, either the existing clay tile basement drain was not reconnected or subsequently has been crushed after time of settling or whatever. And so now that's prohibiting the draining, and of course we've had a wetter spring and summer and fall than we have in a long time. Mr. Downing also brought up the fact that he thinks that somebody else should be liable for his wet basement and any subsequent damage to that too. So I brought it to Don and gave a copy to Brandon about what we want to do, if we want to look at it ourselves or if we want to go back to GAI or GIA or whoever, the consultants who were the lead on the.
No, it's Bonar. Because I don't think he was.
At times, Bonar.
It was
but
actually
not Bonar.
GAI.
It's GAI, because Mark had left Bonar several years
Jesse,
ago, and he was with GAI when they.
Pardon me, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Oh, it was
Originally was.
GAI then. Yeah, okay.
So
Yeah,
GAI had a on-site supervisor there during construction, that was part of their bid, and so we need to contact them, I would imagine, and see if they have any explanation for this. I know that they replaced a large sewer line, or storm sewer line, and Brandon looked at that, but that wasn't in this location, this was on a different street. I'm sure it was somehow connected, but, so I was just getting direction from you if you want me to contact GAI first, see if we can go from there, what other direction you want me to go.
Okay, so I think in what little discussion we've had, I think Dan concurred that GAI, since he uses the term indemnity, that we obviously signed a contract with them. And he didn't feel that he would have allowed a contract to go through without an indemnity clause. So they're going to have to hold us harmless. But I think he's willing to contact them and start the process if that's what we want him to do.
Okay. I can forward all pertinent information regarding the contract to Dan.
Yeah.
So that he has that at his.
That's what I'd like to see done. Is you guys okay with that?
Is that a motion?
I'd make a motion to do that.
Second?
Got a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
Is there anybody who wants to contact Mr. Downing with our decision, or do you want me to do that?
I'd be glad. No, I will.
Because I'm sure I'll have some questions for you.
That's okay. I need contact number.
Okay, I'll get to you.
Thank you.
So
Yeah.
Scott, hold on one second. He was one of the 8 that we hooked up then, okay?
His house is directly south of the school there.
Okay.
Don, if you still have the paperwork, on page 3 at the bottom is his phone number.
Oh, good. Okay, I got it.
Okay, any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, same. Thank you.
How about, we need Brandon for that. Are you gonna talk about this?
Yeah, and he's already looked over it.
Good enough. Thanks, Brandon. See ya. Okay, I got this.
And the question has been brought up, we changed in insurance, vision insurance providers from VSP to Principal. Do we need a motion for that?
Principal was already an existing insurance company with our dental, so.
It's already been done, hasn't it?
Yeah.
So,
Okay. So VSP is gone and
Correct,
Principal's
we just
in.
moved to
So
Principal.
Principal has dental and
And
vision.
vision, correct.
Okay. Okay.
That's why I was asking.
Do we have to do something like that in an official
I
meeting?
don't think so. It's already been done, so.
I can't say the reason why.
Okay, minutes.
Read them, I so move they be approved.
Got a motion to approve, we got a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, the same. Thank you. Okay, I think Tom looked at claims.
Did. Went through them, there was only one I asked you about, and that was about $10,000 or $11,000 to our computer people. But what that was for 8 computers to the health department. And they had the money for it on a grant or something, but outside of that, I had no further questions.
Okay.
Normal.
Did you have any questions?
Motion?
Yeah, I so moved it.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, the same. Thank you. I'll talk to Dan on that, make sure.
There's that. Thanks for doing claims.
No problem.
Oh, which I will do, I think, is it the 18th? I will do claims on the 18th if you guys are okay with it.
Yep. Getting out of this.
Oh, you can have 6 months worth. When's Western coming in? Oh, after tomorrow. After tomorrow, is he coming in so we can teach him how to do that?
Pam, did you have anything?
Just a couple things. I think, George, you mentioned it earlier, and fall with the decoration. The decorating of the gazebo, I know that's already supposed to be done as of November 5th. I haven't actually looked at it yet or noticed anything. But we did via email. I sent that out because you were looking for more information on the decorations. We just wanted to make sure today that it was approved in official meeting. I know George signed off on it, but I probably better get the signatures of Don and Tom too, who already approved it in an email.
So you say you want a signature?
Yeah.
Okay.
Just for today. You can put dates on today if you want beside the signature.
Okay.
Because at the last meeting, you had made a motion to talk to Mark before you made an
Yep.
official action.
Yeah, that's right.
So we still have to
Yep.
approve it then.
Yeah.
So I make a motion that we approve the use of the gazebo from November 5 to, where's that?
Six, I think is all it was.
It's just that date, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, just that date?
Yeah, just for decorating.
Oh, I thought it was stretched out.
Oh, they are gonna have, that was just the date they
They'll
were planning on
remove it by
decorating.
1/6/2006.
Yeah, they'll remove
Yeah,
it by
there you go.
1/16,
That's, okay,
yeah,
that
yeah.
one. Yes, that's my motion. Approve it.
Okay, we got a motion, got a second, any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same? Thank you.
Thank you. And one last thing, for our new PTO policy coming into effect January 1, it does state on there under full-time employment that PTO time for full-time employees will be accrued per calendar year based on continuous whole years of full-time service. In the past, we have 4 employees that are current employees right now that have either were hired, worked full-time, went part-time for a while, then went back to full-time. Yeah.
Yep.
And there are documents on their personnel file allowing them to use, say, continuous whole years. So basically, they're counting vacation time from the first time they were hired, then went to part-time, then they were hired again at full-time, but they're using that first-time date to calculate, just so you know their vacation time. That's going to change as of the new PTO policy, January 1, but we just wanted to make sure that you guys are okay and approve these 4 individuals who will still maintain and be running from that one date, kind of grandfather them in,
We
basically.
are gonna allow them to use the the
Yeah.
first day they hired in full-time.
Yeah, that's documented on their file, unfortunately.
And
You can see that.
we won't have this
Yeah.
situation again.
We will
because of
not have
PT.
that,
Oh,
correct, because of how it's worded as of January 1st, we won't have that issue anymore. But prior to that and prior to me, those were, except for the one, those were approved.
So what does that do to their severance pay?
And you'd have to ask Jana, how do you guys figure longevity on
How you
that?
gonna handle that? Because they've already been paid for their first time they were here. Now, if they leave and they come back full-time, are they gonna get credit for all those? How you gonna,
What does the policy say? That's my.
Yeah, it shows the first day of employment. Are you guys considering that longevity based on that
Whatever the policy
one?
says is what we would go with, so.
All I can answer for is vacation, sick, PTO time. I don't know what Vicky or what they have in place up there for longevity for those individuals. But
I'm gonna abstain. I
Yeah.
I just prefer to abstain on that one.
right now, we're just referring to vacation, sick, personal, PTO. And that is on file, in all of their files stating.
This will not change the longevity, whatever
No.
we were doing before, it's gonna
No.
stay exactly the same.
It'll stay exactly the
It's an
same
okay
as far as
thing.
longevity,
I think
yeah.
it's an okay thing, I
Yeah.
just don't feel.
We're just approving those 4 individuals as of January 1. That's not ever gonna happen again.
We're reapproving, because they've already been approved.
They've already been approved, yeah. We're just bringing it to the attention, yes, and if you feel you need a vote on it, you can. If not, it's already in
so my
place in the
question, are
file.
they getting paid for some years twice? Or not?
And again, I don't have the answer to that. You'd have to ask payroll.
Yes?
Well, no, you're not,
Would you check that out?
yeah.
If you want to approve, I won't be, me. But I'm just saying, I think that's
So I'm okay if we wait until the
unfair.
next meeting,
And you
and
too,
find
I
out.
think it's unfair to our other employees. You say it will never happen again, so if it doesn't happen again.
Well, I think we have to have all the information. Why don't we just, are you okay with just
Yeah.
tabling this until next meeting, and then
Find
we'll
out.
find out
If
for
Janet, you
sure?
could find out? Okay.
Well, it wouldn't be out of line. I can make a motion that we table it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, but I'm not gonna end up voting on it. so.
Okay.
Second.
Got a motion and a second to table. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay.
Thank you. That's all I had, thanks, gentlemen.
Okay, the only thing.
Jana.
Really was the utility permit that you all had in your packets. Brandon did okay it, on November 1st, so.
Okay, that's for
There's
the
3.
Kraft Foods.
Oh, I forgot to mark it for you, I'm sorry, Don. We have to go through and sign it.
You what?
There's 3 copies.
Oh,
of
yeah,
it, yes,
3, okay.
yeah.
Okay, make a motion to approve the extension of the fiber optic line to the Kraft building that George didn't even know existed.
Or John.
Or the EDC guy.
We've got a motion.
It's just a building full of marshmallows.
We got a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, the same. Thank you.
I bet you, do you get those quite often too? Oh my gosh. I got it now. I'll be there, I promise. I mean, jeez. I guess it's okay, but, it just seems like wasting somebody's time making those phone calls. Thank you.
Okay, Commissioner?
No,
Commissioner?
I have less than that.
Makes three of us. Been pretty quiet.
How's corn, Tom? Yeah, it has been, thank goodness.
So
Oh, election day tomorrow.
Got a motion?
You guys are nervous, aren't you?
Yes, I am, for the country. Yes, I am, as a matter of fact. I don't know what's gonna happen.
They said they had 600 come through yesterday.
Yeah, I can believe that.
Early
I just wish I knew what that meant. I don't know what that means.
Or Saturday.
I don't know.
the day.
It's gonna be interesting.
Wow.
They're saying Hillary's got it
Do what?
made right now.
See, I just think that we're,
I don't think so.